The following program is a fan-made review and reaction show. It is in no way affiliated with the Movie Trivia Schmoedown or Skybound Entertainment.
Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. I'm going to be your host this week, Colin. Joining me are the boys, Bogz and John. Bogz, I just talked to you yesterday. You know, it is what it is. John, how's it going, bud?
I'm doing well. Even though you didn't talk to me yesterday, you missed the whole thing. I was in the upside down for a second. We got out. But now I'm back on the show. It's early morning, so I do have my coffee here that I'm going to be sipping throughout the show. But excited to talk about another solid pay-per-view event with you guys.
Well, I'm happy you took a shower because I hear it really stinks down there. You know, they got like that crud. It's all slimy and murky and stuff down there in the upside down. So I'm glad
I thought you were talking about Los Angeles.
Oh,
I was going to say, sure.
Got me there. Bogz, how's it going over all the way across the Atlantic?
Yeah, so it was. I did watch the full thing as it unfolded, so it was a very late night for me. I don't want to say what time exactly because it was late. Put it that way. The sun was coming up. But yeah, no, absolutely epic conclusion to that pay-per-view event. I think the longest match I've ever seen actually as well. So yeah, it was absolutely awesome, worth it. So yeah, I can't wait to get into it with you guys.
And I would say from start to finish, it was one of the most complete pay-per-views, having everything from great storylines to having drama to having great matches, just great performances all around, even in the teams matches on both sides. There were just great performances. And then leading up into the main event, that was just, it is what I just said. It was the main event and it delivered. So let's just go ahead. And last night before the main event, Bogz and I went live for, the second time, and it's just been the best. We're having a great time doing these pregame shows, and we hope you are enjoying them. So this is just going to be a thing now. Every week, 1 hour before the live stream goes up, we are going to go live, breaking down everything you need to know to be as prepared as possible to watch these matches. And Bogz, I don't know about you, dude, but I'm having a blast with them.
Yeah, definitely. So, because I was thinking before we come on, because, I think, again, I might be biased, but, from all the kind of backstage and all the after shows and stuff, I would like to see, I don't know if anyone can get the stats or whatever, but I would like to see how many right picks people have made over the last, whatever it is, 6 weeks. We picked Ace, we picked Chance, and we picked Chandru. I'm just saying, it's obviously we're in good form, but yeah, if you guys, like, for me personally, watching, big matches, watching the Schmoedown in general, I need like an after show to watch, because you need to know kind of to get a better understanding of the game, like second opinions, other people's thoughts, things like, for example, you guys might have different ideas that I've never even considered or thought of, and and I think, yeah, just basically with us getting, with our recent track history, getting these right calls, being objective as opposed to maybe potentially some other shows, where they've got the favorites or the supporting particular contestants or whatever, or certain players or certain factions. We don't have that problem. So, we're just objectively looking at everything from different angles, and yeah, we're getting these right calls. So if you need an objective after show that's getting these right calls, look no further than the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. So we're living up to our name.
I mean, we might be a little bit generous. I feel like if we were to try and look at those averages between show to show, I'd definitely be dragging our average down. I've made a couple of wrong calls. I've gotten a couple of eggs straight to the old kisser. But you're definitely right, man, that it is great that we have folks. I think that all three of us have slightly different opinions and experiences with the Schmoedown, which helps us, at least one of us every week, get the answer right, if not all of us. And what's great is we're even going to have a fourth person on this episode that might even have a fourth opinion. And what an opinion they will have, I'm sure.
And
That's a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
And that,
Because I have to awkwardly reach off camera for my coffee.
Ooh, and you know what? I'm just gonna just leave that cup there for a second so everybody can enjoy that.
Yeah, what's up?
That cup is just too great. That's what I'm saying. It's just too great.
Mm.
All right, guys, let's get into the undercard because it was a match that I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything about it. I was enjoying the questions. I was enjoying everything going on. But what I was really, really enjoying was the delinquent. I think that is the main story coming out of this. At the last 2 weeks, Lon has stolen my heart. Lon has found a way to warm this Grinch's heart, make it 3 sizes too big. And it is just so great to see just everything this dude's putting into the Schmoedown right now. And he's backing it up with his game. We've seen it often. That sometimes a character, sometimes falling into the story, you can lose track of the match. Sometimes that can be a thing. You're playing 2 cards at one time. Lon has found a way to chew bubble gum and talk at the same time, and it's awesome. So, John, what were your thoughts going into this? And is Lon what are you going to bring Lon for breakfast this morning? By the way, because I think it's your turn.
Oh, is it my turn? I mean, listen, I if I have some coffee left in this, I guess I can bring that over to him. But we'll have to see how long the show goes. Yeah, I mean, Lon is a delight. You'll find no argument from me on that. Definitely interesting to talk about how to balance those 2 elements because Lon was definitely able to balance those 2 for most of his first round, just not all of it quite. He's a very funny guy, and I do think he's one of those folks where he's the type you enjoy, even though he's not necessarily playing at the same consistent belt level as some of the other folks that we see, like a Dan Murrell, an Ethan Irwin, a John Rocha, who seem like they're always jumping out of belt matches or contenders matches, but that energy that he has is so fun that you're in for a good time every time he's on screen. I will also say, though, especially going into the match, another person that I was really digging and really thought was putting on a good show for this match was also Ben Goddard. I liked his promo a great deal. I also, he's fully embracing it, Colin, which I think is the way to go. I think that him embracing the bird stuff has been nice. It's also been fun because now he's in on the joke. It feels less like we're laughing at somebody than with someone, which is always the ideal. But I also really like that one of the things that he did not drop and was pretty serious about throughout the week leading up to this match was making sure nobody was taking unfair pot shots at Rachel. She is someone who I think has been getting the prickliest edge of the stick. I don't know if that's a phrase, but it is now. A lot of folks have been really ragging on her harder than anyone else. I don't agree that it's fully warranted based on just what I've seen personally. So I was really glad to see Ben kind of digging his heels into the dirt and being like, hey, I'm not going to have any of that. We can make bird jokes all we want, but let's not rag on Rachel for no good reason. So a lot of good personalities coming into this match, Colin.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ben. I was totally blown away by Ben's performance. And Bogz, I think it's perfect segue. Take us into round 1 because Ben was on a roll.
Yeah. So let's first, as well with me. When I laughed out loud twice during this match. Both were involving Lon, to no surprise. So the first time when I actually saw his background, like him being outside in the forest. Yeah, so that was the initial one. So yeah, going into round 1, Ben was on fire. Obviously hitting a perfect round overall. And then we've had Rachel miss a couple in a row. The Salma question, and also the training day release day question. We've gone to Paul, who's Shark also hit a perfect game, including the bonus question, which him and obviously Benefit, which is Ron Howard, who directed the Da Vinci Code, and Lon, who had a decent round up until he switched off. And I was so surprised he'd done that, to be honest with you, because I did see he was talking to obviously his doll there, and I thought he was doing it for the whole time. And I thought, has he wrote the question there? And then obviously they've gone to him, he scribbled it down, he's tried to kind of flag an answer. But yeah, that just shows maybe taking it a little bit too far sometimes. Some of this character stuff, just rein it in, maybe 5-10%, just to make sure, you know, every round, that kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully, you know, luckily it didn't cost him anything in terms of the match, you know, against maybe the further they go into kind of the Schmoedown and who's the boss teams, etc. That could potentially cost you. So yeah, I was a bit shocked with that. So that was my biggest. And the second moment, it actually involved the Milan the second moment I laughed out loud involved the Milan situation, which I'll come to later. But yeah, it was a big shock when he missed that.
And I was feeling like we mentioned it. Round one was probably going to be the moment where the Pride had to seize control of the match. And unfortunately, after round one, they were constantly trying to catch up. And that, when you're playing a team like Final Exam is showing they are, it's hard to catch up.
Well, of course they have the lead.
I mean,
they have the lead.
No, they did have the lead. You're right.
Yeah,
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no.
We have so much Schmoedown.
Yeah.
So
they have the lead. Yeah. Sorry, Karen.
So getting the lead, flipping that's not where they thought they were going to be midway through the round. Midway through the round, after Rachel dropping the 2 questions, you're sitting there thinking that this, you know, they're going to have to play catch up. And then it's actually funny to see Kate come on after the first round and kind of do her thing, because that's kind of the moment where Kate kind of shows that that type of managerial style, which we talked about in the pay-per-view, can be helpful, because that is kind of calming for her to just kind of come in there. It's cool. Right. Everything's fine. See, everything's going to be okay. We're in the right place. Everything's going to be good. Just play your game. And I was just, like I said before, I was just super impressed with Ben. Ben's performance in round one kind of eased any worries I had that he could still compete for Rookie of the Year. I think he's got a shot depending on his performance in the singles tournament. And I think that's a prime spot for him, because he's showing, just like Chance, round one's his bread and butter, John. And I think, you know, he can just continue to get better.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a great job in that round one, able to really hit a lot of that general knowledge stuff, which is the foundation of the Schmoedown. Same thing is true, of course, of Paul Oyama. No surprise there, former singles champion. Of course, he's knocking it out of the park with those round ones as well. Rachel, definitely no slouch. She missed a couple of questions. So did Lon. She didn't miss any from lack of paying attention, so that's important. But yeah, no, she's definitely good. And then, of course, you know, we can talk about Lon all the live long day. He's just a delight. We're going to forgive him for anything, I fear. But one thing he certainly doesn't need forgiveness for is his performance in round two, Colin.
No, see, round two was where it was kind of set the tone for what I think Final Exam are trying to do here this season. And it was
find a house?
Maybe no, because I think Baby Carrots gave an excellent choice. Go find a lovely theater house somewhere. Unlimited old popcorn, unlimited old hot dogs. I think that's great. Chips, you know, nacho. Speaking of Cheese Whiz from our pre-production meeting, you could probably come up with a nice way to make a movie theater Philly cheesesteak. I'm just saying. So looking at this round two performance, this is what I'm thinking. Paul's got a shot to come back for all the belts. Like, this is some next level gamesmanship that we're seeing, because the guy leads you he's insinuating at the top of the round, man, Lon, you did pretty well in this category last time you had it, right? Like, you swept it. Like, you did pretty well. You didn't have to go to multiple choice. And then he gets every one of them right and just has to check with Lon. They basically say them both at the same time for every single question. Like, I was just absolutely blown away. And that, like, it was probably one of the most impressive second rounds. And it's, again, we keep talking about the differences in these teams compared to the singles and IG and all that. Being able to hear these teams work through the questions, I think it's been extremely, it's been helpful for us, you know, because we cover it. So it's nice to get that little bit of extra background knowledge. And also just listening to the way that the Pride broke down everything they were going through. It all seemed like everything was on one side extremely cooperative and hive mind-ish. And on the other side, I just got a completely different vibe, Bogz. What were you feeling from the Pride in terms of how they were, going at it?
Yeah, so, I mean, they spun Spy. So, obviously, initially spun off John Carpenter, obviously, and Final Exam hit that. But for me, Spy, I mean, it's such a broad category. I mean, we're talking about potentially hundreds of movies, with that kind of touch other genres as well. So it's such a kind of a vast amount that you have to know, as opposed to John Carpenter, which is 15 movies. So I felt how tough it was before they even answered. I thought, oh, that was a tough category. And obviously came to that. So yeah, they've tried to negotiate their way through, which I kind of like the way the whole round 2 kind of ended up, where obviously the only issue was that obviously they left Kate in for about 4 questions. Except for that, obviously for the steals, they've brought them in. They've given the opportunity to steal. They've stole the 1 point now. I kind of like the way it was a lot smoother this time. So I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, just going on back what you're saying, Oyama's looking, since Rocha's beaten earlier on in the season, he's looking so dangerous. Like, especially in this digital format, how fast he's getting answers. The way he breaks things down. Like, he's the least like, I can't wait for that kind of section in the singles tournament, with obviously him. They are playing first round matches, but in terms of everyone else around him in his section, him, Schneider, Mark Riley, Mike Kalinowski, that's like, the least player I'd want to play with is Oyama, because he's just on fire at the minute. So yeah, obviously, they've gone perfect. But yeah, the Pride, they kept themselves in it, but because I think about 3 points in, I realized, 3 questions in, they were already up, and I thought, oh, they've still got 3 questions left, and they're probably going to go perfect, and it was just going to get a bit messy. But yeah, I was more impressed with how Final Exam done, as opposed to disappointed with how the Pride done, because like I said, such a broad category. I wasn't surprised that they didn't get a perfect round.
I could definitely tell it wasn't IG either, because the Oxford's not Brokes line tripped up both teams from the Kingsmen. And I'm sitting here and I'm checking the score, because the only way we have the score is at the ticker right now. And so you see 23-21, and you're just feeling like, wait, they just keep on going, and they just keep on adding up. And they do end up getting one of the steals. And, it's just, we keep talking about it, momentum. And it starts, and then John Carpenter is just opening the floodgates, and it's over after that. Like, it's really hard to watch a team be at that. Might be one of the most dominant second round performances, aside from maybe some Kalinowski, James Bond second rounds. That just seemed like they were the second round where they seemed truly insulted by the level of questions, and they're just like boom, 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 boom. That's the stuff I live for. That's the Schmoedown stuff that I like. So getting us in, is any other final thoughts on round 2 before we get into round 3, guys? Round 3, let's do it, because round 3 we got, it doesn't take too much. We do end up with the TKO, and Pride nailing that 2-pointer, missing the 3-pointer, and then cannot pull that 5. That 5. It's just, that 3-pointer was hard. All right. I give Ben a lot of credit. That 3-pointer, I couldn't pull it. Could you guys pull it?
James Stewart is my favorite actor of all time.
Okay.
So yes, I could pull it.
Boom.
Yes,
all right.
Am I crazy for still calling him Jimmy? Did he make a stink at some point about not wanting to be called Jimmy? All right.
No, that's
because I still just think of him as Jimmy Stewart. So that's why I was always like, am I in the wrong?
No, nothing wrong with that. So for me, round 3, I was like, oh my god, come on out. That was obvious, but obviously not for others. The 5-pointer, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I was quite glad that Rachel got her 2-pointer. Obviously, it was only a 2-pointer, but in terms of anyone kind of coming after her, in terms of any criticism, I'm glad that she justified, being in there and hitting a kind of 3-point question. So I was happy for her. But yeah, the 5-pointer, I didn't have a clue. I mean, Paul seemed to know it, but yeah, I kind of like the way that they were kind of negotiating. Maybe if they had another repeat, maybe they maybe would have got there, but in the end, obviously the best team won. And
what guess did he make?
I don't think they did in the end. I don't think they did.
He kind of like said something at the end.
Oh, last second. I don't know.
Yeah, he said something like last second, but he also didn't say final answer. And I believe if we're going to continue the rules from round 2, they should apply to the 5-pointer. Is that?
Well, does it matter at that point once the clock has run out, though? Because I think that would probably be the point of contention. Yeah,
of course not. Of course. But I'm thinking at this point, like, if they get the 5-pointer, I was still feeling so like just hot about how well Final Exam were playing that I wasn't worried at all, even if they hit the 5-pointer. It was just like man, Paul just looks like, I mean, Winston said it last night. Paul looks like LeBron James right now. And he looks like move or get out of the way, or I'm going to run you over, because I'm a steam train coming plowing right down the middle, and he's hitting everything that stands in front of him. And I think next week that matchup against Shazam is gonna be, I mean, that is some minds right there. I mean, that is, he talks about it, how him and the kid are friends, and I can't wait to see that this week. I want to see, how they play that up. But Lon and Bibbs, come on now, y'all. That's some Schmoedown minds right there. That is like, we may not see too many missed questions again. Like next, it's kind of the level we're kind of getting to, and we're kind of getting spoiled with with these high level matches. And I compared it last night to in the pregame show to the bubble situation right now in the NBA, where we've gotten rid of the 8 worst teams in the league. Like, they're currently not there. There's only the top 22 teams. So obviously the quality of games are going to be better. Teams are going to have an off night, but usually a lot of these games have been pretty close. And that's the summer we've been gifted with IG, with Star Wars. There really have been very few blowouts. So I'm really looking forward to it. Bogz, is there final thoughts on this match?
Yeah, no. So just at the end of the match, I was quite impressed with the way they asked, did kind of Lon missing the first, the Milan question, did that affect you? And he was just like, no, we'll just take it one question at a time, one round at a time. I think because mainly as well due to the kind of situation, the team that he's playing, I think that he knew that he had kind of wriggle room to potentially miss a question. So I just love how kind of composed and Oyama is, and how he seems to be kind of on top of the game and managing the team, and kind of Lon is his assistant. That's what it kind of feels like. I love that. And just the last part I laughed out loud at was when they asked, when Lon referred to Milan, obviously the next time he said, I forgot the exact quote, but something about, the Reflection song.
Man, I'm meant to be. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And I thought, this guy's still on his mind. So yeah, I did get a laugh out of me. But yeah, best team won. And moving on to the next round, I mean, against that Shazam match, I mean, awesome match. I'll give my prediction now just quickly. I mean, I'm definitely going Final Exam. Obviously, we've got elite players with Shazam. They're the most recent title challengers, but they've not played together since December. They've not played on a digital format yet. Well, they may have played the round 1 matches yet. We don't officially know. But yeah, they haven't got that momentum, haven't got that kind of flow of things working in the team together. So, I've been picking up these things kind of throughout the last few months. So I'm definitely going Final Exam. I'm sure we'll get a proper breakdown. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I like the point there you're making about the digital format, because I do think there is something to say about the first time you hop on and it's 8 people in your ear and you're also competing. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. And the first time, I'm sure it's a little jarring. I mean, you can go on the after shows, you can come on here all you want, but when you got Christian coming through with real questions and you're having to sit there and focus, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. Definitely. And I think going forward, that's going to be something to think about, is like that first experience. We're going to have, I mean, last week, Ethan kind of disproved that, but it's just kind of, he had his little earbuds in and everything seemed to be okay and didn't seem to affect him too much.
But I think it's different in a singles match, teams match.
100%.
yeah,
John, your final thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid match. I know Lon said that the Mulan question didn't really bother him, but I'm just saying if he does wind up moving into a movie theater, we may see another viral video of him like attacking a Mulan standout, like that other theater owner. So I don't know about that. That might stick with him for a minute, as it should. That's a big whoops, and especially considering like that was really the one moment of weakness for Final Exam. Hopefully that is the kind of thing that they do tackle. It was a solid match, man, for sure. Rachel proving that she deserves to be in this game, in this league, and was a solid choice as a team's partner for Ben. I know we've talked a little bit about how delightful of a character Lana is. I'm still greatly enjoying Kate Mulligan as a character and her Chicago accent. I don't know fully what it is, but it is delightful. She's always fun to see, even if we see her for 4 more rounds than we should. I think I gotta agree with Bogz as well. I do think I would probably edge the Final Exam versus Shazam match to Final Exam as well. They're just working so well together as a team. I do think they complement each other's weaknesses very well, but also, especially in this match, we see when they spin a strength of Lon's, it's also a strength of Paul's. You gotta wonder if there are any weaknesses. Whereas with Shazam, definitely went on a tremendous run in the teams tournament last year. But I do think that if you look at some of their performances, you do see some weak spots. Certainly Bibiani didn't have a shutout performance when he performed at Spectacular, either for the singles tournament final or the teams match. Brendan Meyer is a delightful kid, but when he went up against another elite player, Ben Bateman, that did not go great. So I do think I would probably have to give the edge to Final Exam just with that complementary knowledge. And like you were saying, man, that digital experience. Paul Oyama, he's a graduate of the Fan Leagues, which is a digital enterprise. So this really is kind of home field advantage for Paul, just generally as far as the digital landscape. But again, he's also a former singles champion as well, which is a huge benefit. He is going to have to be going up against a former singles champion as well, though, next week against William Bibiani. So it'll definitely be a close. I mean, all of these have been close matches. Yes, this match was a TKO, but still definitely good play all around. So I'm really excited for what we get next week with teams.
Yeah, and Lon's kind of reminded me of the kid, that's really smart, freshman year of college, aces all the tests, but never shows up to class and gets an 80. And like just gets knocked for attendance, but he shows up for tests, gets everything right, but just never shows up to class and thinks everything's fine. Yeah, it's like it all kind of works out. And he's that energy, it's just it'll kind of agitate you a little bit when he gets the questions right. But at the end of the day, it plays well, and I've been really enjoying it. So let's get into the main event, because this match was this 5-round stunner, folks. I mean, this was an all-timer. I mean, we're going to look back at this. I mean, this is the second of, I believe, a 5-chapter story between these two, because we have the Smasher and we have the Chosen One going at it for the IG belt. And boys, this was just unbelievable. Every second of this match, I was just glued. I was just glued to the television every second. I couldn't look away. Managers on fire. Winston with the swag Conda forever. The whole vibe that they were bringing, everything that Kaiser was bringing. It might be the first actual promo with 2 people from the same faction since all the quarantine stuff has started. That was exciting. It kind of scared me. Smasher looking like Bane a little bit. But Bogz, you're seeing all these promos. You're seeing everything. How are you feeling? Where you at?
Yeah, I was already hyped going in, obviously. And then obviously they dropped that promo where I particularly enjoyed the kind of the polar opposite personalities, where you've obviously got Smets going in tough like the Smasher, like a slugger almost. And we got like a Chandru, he's fast on his feet. He's dancing. He's playing about with people. He's smiling and having shots. And then you got Kaiser and you got obviously Winston with it. I love that Wakanda Black Panther thing, by the way. So yeah, it was an awesome promo going in. So I kind of went from sitting down to right at the edge of my seat, so just waiting kind of for what's to happen next. But yeah, it just hyped me up even more. So I couldn't wait for it to get started. So yeah.
And the build up, just the tension, you could feel it. It was building. It was kind of it's the best we've seen of the build up, I think, in these digital matches, because this is one that we've known about for a while. This hasn't been, you know, Guy Bateman 2 kind of came out of nowhere last month. We've been waiting for this matchup. We've been sitting on. And John, we didn't get your thoughts on the live pregame show. So please give me, you got a couple minutes, break down where were you at all week? You know, all week going into this.
Oleyama, timing you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me pull up my soapbox here. No, I was definitely interested going into it. I will be honest, this match did not excite me quite as much as the All Corruption InnerGeekdom tournament finals did, just because I really like those guys. Chandru is a very interesting character. He very much is sort of the internet troll incarnate, where he'll just say some outrageous stuff and then just jump in dancing. It's wild. It's interesting. Obviously, one of the big moments for me was just watching some of the promos leading up to it that kind of made me go like, oh, snap. All right, there's something here. Obviously, one of the moments that sticks out to me was when Chandru and Kevin were talking about Kevin's win over Hector, where Chandru was just like, oh, based on the accuracy rate and everything, and oh, look at the numbers of Hector's performance, and then Kevin like, oh, you don't respect the game if you're talking anything about Hector Navarro. And that was something where it was very interesting to see kind of both sides of it, because I do think that Kevin, while kind of being just the personality of the juggernaut as far as just pounding through any and all opposition in his path, just can't be stopped, definitely he's got this deep reverence for the game, matched only by the reverence for his new wife, and probably when they are born, his child as well, which we do want to say congratulations to Kevin. Good on you, buddy. Whereas Chandru, he's very much a guy that will say some wildly, what's the word? Inflaming? I don't know. Polarizing. That's not right.
It's polarizing.
Yeah, he will say some stuff where he clearly does not mind getting under people's like skin personally. But if you do check the receipts, like obviously none of us are going to say Hector Navarro did not deserve to be a champ. He absolutely is a former champ. He also was someone with a good deal of ring rust. So there is that argument of like, okay, at what point is it not respecting the game anymore? But really it just gets into the big theme for this match is that these two did not like each other. And they play this game very differently. And so I knew that was going to be true just going into the match with the promos and just seeing these guys' approach. I don't know if I could have predicted seeing just how different these play styles were, though, Colin.
And different is a word to use. This is opposite sides of the spectrum. I mean, we had kind of a mini production meeting last night with being the executive producer. It's just a play style difference. Chandru uses everything in his power to mess with you, and he knows it, and he's gonna play it. He's like Ben Bateman. You know how they got cherry Dr. Pepper, and cherry is already a flavor in Dr. Pepper, so it's kind of like they've just amped up that cherry flavor just a little bit, so it's like 23 and a half flavors instead of 23. Yeah, Ben Bateman's all 23 flavors, and then Chandru takes that thing that Ben does where he waits and has somehow taken that vibe and jacked it up to like 20 and has found a new way, because Ben will kind of poke at you in a match, but Ben doesn't do it the week leading up to it every single time he's in a chat room with you. Like every single time these two were on camera together, Chandru's making some joke about Smets' MP3s, about his spreadsheets, and he doesn't care. Like there were points in last night's match where I was so sure that he didn't know the answer to some of these questions. He knew it. He was fooling me. And I was ready for it. And I was like, oh, he might actually not know. Oh, no, he knew it. And then at that point, you're even more scared because the guy he's bringing it on all levels. And when you're firing like that at all levels, when you're playing the game here and in your opponent's head, I think it's just setting himself up. So, I mean, round one, I mean, I sat here on this pregame show and I said it was going to be 21-21 at the end of the round 2. So I thought we were going to have 2 straight perfect rounds, and that didn't happen in any way. Like, I was totally blown away at the we were sitting here thinking, oof, overtime, no missed questions. Like, we thought we were so right, Bogz. How naive were we?
Oh, they'll be perfect 2 rounds, you know. It'll be easy for them, but no, not at all. I just want to say on the back of what you said there, Colin, like, this is one of the best strategic matches I've ever seen. Like, this guy from leading up to it all week, because I believe that, you know, maybe it's the Schmoedown community, I don't know, maybe it's where the online community, I think that maybe people don't have certain experiences sometimes with maybe South Asian people, so they don't understand maybe his humor or maybe his way of being or his mannerisms, which is very typical of people of that region. And if you're not used to that, his humor and things like that, it can come across as you know, as weird, as different, but it's really not. It's really, he's kind of increased it and turned the volume up on everything and kind of directed it towards Schmoedown and everything. But honestly, like, it's very strategic the way he's gone through everything that he says. The digs, the compliments, the smiles, it's all part of the plan, which has now come to fruition. So me, like I said, objectively just looking at everything here, like, what I've noticed what people do when they spot it, they say, oh, I don't like that, or I don't like him, or, you know, that kind of thing. But I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing, like, people should be learning off this guy. And this is how, you know, newer players and things like that, and, you know, maybe older players that need to learn new tricks, need to learn off this guy. This is how you play. This is how you challenge. You know, this is how you come up with strategies. This is how you talk to your manager, you know, in between, right? You know, see how we kind of call Winston in, and that's how you want to address, and how we got that challenge overturned purely off how articulate he was and how he calmly explained the situation. If that was me, I'd be fuming, you know, if, you know, and then they'd kind of say, oh, whatever, you know, you're too angry, let's move on. But the way he explained it, obviously we'll come to that in a second. But I just wanted to kind of explain further, Colin, what you said, that I don't know if that's been overlooked or people maybe mention it later or anything, but yeah, I can't believe the level that he's playing at. Like, obviously Smets comes in with the preparation, with the strategy at a good level, but Chandru came out with a different strategy and obviously came out on top. So yeah, I just thought I'd give my thoughts there, Colin.
No, I'm with you there. And kind of the way I was kind of compared in my head is Patrick Mahomes is an amazing quarterback. Lamar Jackson is an amazing quarterback, but they play the position 2 entirely different ways. They're both MVPs in their own right, but they got there in 2 completely different ways. And it's the same style here. Smets got there by beating everybody into submission with his knowledge. He got there with his knowledge. Very rarely did he have to do anything outside of the norm, you know, outside of regular, you know, just trivia to get the win. And mentioned many times before, the dude has 6 wins and 5 knockouts, and the only win that wasn't a knockout was against Chandru. So now he's come back. And John, let's just go ahead, man. Round 1, this is it's fishy. It's a little. It's not the round 1 we all expected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in some respects, it was. I feel like in a lot of these, particularly topper tier, these bigger InnerGeekdom matches, what we see a lot of is first rounds ending 11-9 with 2 really strong performances, but there's just that one question that trips up one competitor, much like I'm tripping over my own words, and we usually see 11-9 going out of the first round, which we almost got. Because Chandru did have to use a repeat for the Clifton Collins question, and he did wind up missing it. Smets got all of his questions until we get to surrogates versus the surrogates. And this is, again, why I compare Chandru to an internet troll in a way, because, A, he's, you know, goofing, he's dancing while also saying just some heinous stuff about his competitor and some other folks. But then when that challenge comes in first, the ruling and it doesn't go his way, suddenly he comes in with the, well, actually, here's the precedent set forth by this match. And it's one of those things where, you know, you kind of can't argue that Chandru does in fact like the game, because clearly the man studies the game and other matches as much as he's out here studying the very movies that he's being asked questions about. So clearly there is some level of reverence, even if it's not necessarily verbalized as often as Kevin verbalizes his love for the game. But, you know, it's certainly not traditional Schmoedown fare to have the challenge go in that way and then kind of go back into deliberation. But at the end of the day, I do understand it, and I think with the push for this being more like a sport, this sort of consistent, hardcore studying of the rules and precedents when it comes to these challenges is fair game. I know that's kind of a subjective thing. So, Colin, I know it seems like you're probably disagreeing with the...
No.
Oh, you're agreeing.
There's
well, good, because I'm
precedent.
smart.
There's precedent that's been evolving as of late in sports balls, if we'll just call it that. Whether it's soccer football or whether it's American football, VAR is a huge thing right now in soccer/football. Like it's something like a decision is made by somebody who is not at the game or on the field, where, you know, for the last 100 years, all decisions have been made by the 3-4 judges on the field. So now we're bringing in, you know, instant replay and things like that. And instant replay is one of the biggest, you know, changes in sports ever, because, you know, it used to just be something for highlights, but now they're actually able to show the ref the live footage in real time. American football made a massive change about 3 years ago off of one play where there was a defensive pass interference play, a penalty given in the NFC Championship game, the game before the Super Bowl. You can now challenge a penalty because of that play. So you could not challenge the play for that play, but because they realized that they were wrong, they've gone back and changed the rules because they realized it was unfair. So I feel like that's the situation where currently we just happen to be in the middle of the Schmoedown, where we're ironing out the rules. And I mentioned this last night to one of our producers. I wish I could have brought up the Fairly Odd Parents "the rules" gif, because that's what we need. We need the rules. We need somebody to pop up with the rules, because I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it, but in a world where there's millions of people watching the Schmoedown live on on Monday through Friday at 7:00, like it's Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune. There's a difference between surrogates and the surrogates, and more people would have a problem with him getting the answer correct than would not. And that's kind of like, if we want to take this to the grand scale, if we want to start talking about, like, you know, trivia in general, there's differences that we have to nail down. And if we are like, we're all pretty nerdy people. We're all sitting here talking about movies on the internet for hours at a time every week. And so I think we can be nerdy enough for to matter, because it does. It's not Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It's the Chamber of Secrets. Harry Potter's Chamber of Secrets. That sounds really dirty, and that's a completely different movie. So it kind of, but
Harry Potter's Mystery Hole.
Right. Oh, no. And no. Okay. And we're going to stop there, and we're going to move on to round 2, because round 2 was almost as infuriating to witness. Not infuriating, but it just continues this. I don't know, guys. I'm just kind of this match just had me. It felt less like a match. Like, I think that was one thing that we all kind of felt like there were breaks. It felt like there was no flow, and it just took a while for things to kind of get going. I think around round 3, I kind of feel like that's when things kind of picked up and were kind of normal again. But Bogz, how are you feeling, about round 2?
Yeah. So at the end of, by the way, for that challenge, I think Chandru's 100% right. and I was so glad that they went back the second time. So I do think it is a petty challenge, but he hasn't got the full answer. You know, he's added the, and it's not called the. So he's right. I mean, exactly what the precedent's been set. I was so glad he articulated himself and stayed calm to explain that situation. So we've not really seen that where a competitor's explained it himself to kind of argue the point, argue decision that's been made where it's been not upheld, and him to kind of explain in further detail, and then they've kind of reversed it from there, which Smets didn't argue with. If you notice, he did not argue because he knew he was right. He knew he's put there by accident, and in my opinion anyway, that he thinks you know, it should be considered a wrong
He
answer.
said that multiple times too. He said that multiple times when things were brought up that could have gone other ways. He was constantly saying, I don't want to win like that. But it's like, I get that. Like, I get it. He doesn't want to, you know, fight tooth and nail for every point that he doesn't feel like in the moment that he needs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there's more points coming. Round 2. So I've only got 2 real talking points. You know, I was really surprised that Smets stuck on Wisdom World. Kaiser literally said, "This isn't our strongest. Shall we go again?" And he's decided to double down on it. Obviously, we've seen Smets hit strong, you know, Wisdom World before, but that was just an indicator for me that I don't know. I just felt like it's going to be a tough round. And some of the questions, like, you know, as you guys know, I've explained several times, I'm not a Harry Potter person. To me, they all sound like 5-pointers. I've got no idea. So he seems to be struggling on everyone. Chandru kind of obviously got a few steals there. And then, yeah, obviously Chandru's gone for his round 2. I just want to say this, the challenge that was made by Smets. I do believe that he done that. I think the challenge is based upon his accent, which he said that he didn't want to. He kind of confirmed towards the end, a few times at the end of the match, like, I think he regretted doing it. But yeah, you know, we just have to understand that, you know, he's not from the States. He hasn't got, you know, he's got an accent, and he is. People are going to pronounce words wrong, you know, with accents. You know, who English isn't their first language. So I'm so glad that wasn't upheld as a kind of as a challenge, and it was quite quickly reversed as well. So yeah, so I think I saw a Patreon afterwards ask Chandru or say something like, you know, due to kind of diversity, I'm glad that wasn't upheld. I completely agree. You know, as well, like Indian people, like they, you know, India, like, not to give you history lesson or anything, but India's like lots of little small countries in one. So really, people from there, they speak 2 or 3 languages. So English is probably like his 4th language, right? Really. So, and look, he's pronouncing me slightly, okay, with an accent, okay, 100%, I get that. But I'm so glad that was not upheld due to that reason. And he kind of half apologized as well for that. So yeah, I just wanted to comment on it. I didn't want to dwell on it too much. But yeah, Chandru having that lead in round 2, I could not believe it. I thought, oh my God, you know, he's like, I thought, oh, are we going to see Smets fold here? Is this going to be a knockout potentially? Like, I could not believe it. Yeah, and obviously Chandru was staying calm with the steals. So yeah, that was the moment in the match where obviously there was a change, you know, clearly, but yeah, there was so much drama in that round.
And he goes up 14-12. I mean, that's
14-22.
No. Well, he goes up 14-12 before he even has to answer a question.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, if you're in a championship match, and if I'm sitting there, if I'm coach, right? If I'm Winston, and if I'm Chandru, I'm sitting there like, what has to go right? All that. All of that just happened. I got to get in Smets' head twice. I got to just come out ahead. And if I can be up going into my round 2 questions, we're good. Like, we're as good as we can be right now. And you could even tell, Bogz, like you said, that challenge that Smets made kind of stuck with him, because it was kind of done, right? It was kind of a moot point. It was kind of over. And then in about I think it was either the meeting between him and Kaiser before round 4 or the meeting before round 5, where he kind of mentions it again. And that is where in my head, I'm like, oh, he's in his head in just different ways. There's ways that, like, somebody can get in your head that's very, you know, you can do it to yourself. Yeah.
You might feel bad for doing it. You might feel like, oh, maybe I need to say something in case, people might get offended by that. You're on a live stream, with thousands of people watching. So
I think you can clear that up at the end. I think we're kind of at the point where it's like, I don't want, like Smets, thank you for apologizing. It was the right, if you felt that was, something that you needed to do, good on you for doing it. But I do feel like in the moment, I feel like we all respect the game enough to understand that if you need to wait until the end to do that, I don't know if you need to take the time in the middle of the match. I think you can find a way to stay focused in the match as well and handle that stuff after the match, because I think Chandru would have handled it the same professional way either way, because he knew, and he knew exactly what it was. And that was why I believe it moved on so quickly and why it was flipped so quickly. And then the only thing that I think the only thing that if anybody wants to say is trolling is that if Chandru knew it was in his head, he kept spelling out answers. When he kept spelling out answers, when he spells Petunia, I was like, okay, bud. All right, relax a little bit, bud. I don't think we need to be out here, doing that.
You don't need to do that. And he still
I know, you don't. And he said, you don't need to do that. And he said, he kept doing it. So I was like, okay. But that gets us into round 3. It's a very vastly different round 3 in terms of, how they approached it. It was in a mixed bag and pulled out a Back to the Future question, which could be anything. Smets gets the 3 points. And Chandru bets 1, only loses 1 point. It was strategic. It worked. And I was pretty impressed with the coaching, I guess, that had been done prior to the event in terms of like where they felt confident. And it seemed like Smets had to pick. Yeah, it seems like 3 kind of had to be the number when you're down like that. You got to pick 3. And when you're as confident as Smets, why wouldn't you pick 3? I'm in that, I'm with him. Like, I'm totally with you there. And it paid off because going into round 4, it's 21-17. Like, this is still a game. Like, with this new speed format, it's anybody's game. And y'all, I don't know what it was like for you, but I'll just give my speed round heart rate, and then I'll pass it on to John. It was about 2,000 beats per minute, and it was fluttering. I mean, just flying. And then Chandru answered his questions, and then it went up another 5,000 beats per minute. So I don't even know how I'm here. John, how is your heart?
My heart didn't race too bad. I was nice and calm, but that's also because I was watching this match at like 9:30 p.m. my time with a scotch in one hand. So I was just kind of relaxing by the poolside, essentially watching this match. Yeah, I was interested going into round 4. I got a little bit worried when Smets had bet 3 initially when I heard that in the betting round, just because we saw Smets try and prove that he didn't have like any weaknesses in InnerGeekdom by taking Wizarding World, which is what he had said when he took it. That turned out to not be the case. So I was a little bit worried, but then, much like both his round 1 and his now that we're talking about it, round 4 performance, it's clear that Kevin Smets definitely does have a good poll knowledge when it comes to the general world of InnerGeekdom. So it was definitely impressive. I mean, again, like this round 4 format is a lot more like round 1, and you got to see different play styles from both of these guys. Kevin Smets obviously kind of barreling through it, passing when he needed to, so that way he could kind of come back to it later. Whereas Chandru did give himself the time to try and count out clearly like how much time he had, counting on his hands just to keep track of all of the questions that were there. 2 different play styles that both got them to the same place because they both got 9 total points and only passed on 1 each. Neither of them missed a question. So that was big. Chandru, I forget whether this was an official challenge or just something he was talking about with Maria Hill, Kobe Smulders. If he had challenged that, I would have disagreed with it because Kobe Smulders was playing Maria Hill. You can argue like, oh, it was a scroll playing Maria Hill, but like, no, she was playing the character that the scroll was playing, which was Maria Hill. And then it was a different actor that was playing the scroll. So ultimately, whether or not it was a challenge, which I can't remember, it was not a challenge that was upheld. And that's good. But again, I mean, obviously we're getting back into the technicality and the rulesness of it all, as it were. But yeah, another solid round of InnerGeekdom play, Colin.
And if Jorgen Bud Strangle would come in with the rules. That'd be kind of nice every once in a while. But so we get into the final round. Or no, we don't. We got to talk about round 4 before we get to the final round because it was just 9 for 9. That kind of just blew me away. The way that both of those guys handled it and kind of learning from past championship rounds with this new speed round is that taking a break and maybe not answering a question might be the best thing for you to do because it kind of a lot of the time I don't think that was kind of stressed in the first couple championship bouts that we saw was that you don't have to answer every question because when you explain it like Family Feud, you kind of do, or you don't win the $20,000 cash. If you don't answer all the questions, you don't win. So seeing it that way, it was nice to see them both take a break and kind of realize where they were at. And for both of them to just plow through it like that, I was just so impressed with both of them and bringing us into round 5, guys. I mean, I was just, that was just, some other stuff. I mean, that was round 5 was one of the most unique Schmoedown round 5s it was just so much emotion, Bogz, in all of it. I mean, how are you feeling?
Yeah, just on round 4, my only comment is I just wanted to just the way Chandru was counting, love that. It's the way of you you being in control of the round as opposed to just kind of close your eyes and just guessing and going through as quick as you can. No, he's kind of slowed it down and John, I agree with what you're saying. That would be such an interesting challenge if you did challenge that because I can kind of see a right or wrong answer in both ways. But at the end of the day, she did play the character. I understand what you mean, but I can see where the challenge will come from. So that would be interesting. But yeah, going into round 5, obviously Smets having to answer two questions at the minimum. So obviously he's got his first one. And his second one, I couldn't believe it because that just meant you have to hit your 5 point. And when they said, for the championship, like you have to win, you have to hit this to not get TKO'd. I thought, what? I'd have never thought ever that Chandru would have TKO'd Smets. But obviously he hit it. It wasn't, he didn't seem to sweat about hitting it. But then, it was just down to Chandru. So he was... I think he did rinse a few repeats for the drama, but I was more shocked that kind of Smets missed a 3-pointer because I thought taking at the end of the day in these big matches against these big players, always take them to their 5-pointer. That's obviously it's 5 rounds, it's a bit harder, but you expect it at this level, and obviously that didn't happen, so I was super surprised about that.
And I hear what you're saying with the repeats, but in real time, I was having a hard time nailing down the entire Shazam family because you're sitting there counting because you don't quite remember the names. And then you're, of course, going to add 2 for the parents. So you're doing the other math in your head and you just remember everything. Man, that was just unreal. And the emotion, John, I think is the one thing that's sticking out to me that has kind of, we saw a character. I feel like we were seeing a character and a player in Chandru evolve throughout a game. And then we just saw a person at the end of this match. And I think that worth the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen emotion like that since Christian Bale's character Jack did come back at the end of Newsies with Theodore Roosevelt after getting some advice. I had to. I'm sorry.
Oh, you just got me right there, man. I sang Santa Fe in 7th grade choir. That was my jam. Oh,
dude, same. I mean, not in 7th grade choir, but a little bit later, I also sang that song. We love Newsies here. This is a Newsies stand show. But yeah, man, it's a lot of people who love the game, man, and that's again the thing where it's even when we're talking about how these two don't really like each other and the differences in their play style, they all clearly care so much about the game, and it's great. I mean, Winston coming in with the same emotions that he had when Ace won that Star Wars tournament. It's clear that he invests so much of himself in his players. He's always so happy for them. And again, just talking up Chandru, not just as far as his performance in the game, but how he helps bring the faction together. It's incredible. Smets, being very down on himself, but still talking about how much he loved the game and didn't really have that much to be down on himself about his performance. I think he kind of started realizing that other than, the challenge, which he had, again, already kind of talked about how he didn't feel good about it as it was happening. So definitely no shame there. Obviously, it takes a lot to crack Kaiser's exterior. I don't know how much he feels for anything other than Piggy Smalls, but he's certainly fired up. And then we even got a little bit of love for Shannon too, who I gotta say, Shannon is phenomenal. We love Shannon here as well. Definitely coming in with some solid barbs for Chandru, but then watching Winston also not get phased at all by it was also incredible. Yeah, man, just a lot of people that love this game. And I will also say again, since we're talking about kind of the emotionality of it all, Mark Ellis is very good at his job. Like, fully the way that he was kind of talking to Kevin Smets about his loss and just really bringing him back in and helping keep the family feeling good, I thought was great.
And I'm also with Winston Marshall. I also am afraid of horror movies, so Shannon's reference was dumb. Just saying. I also didn't get it because scary movies scare me. It's just not my thing. It was just,
before we move on, I just want to say one thing about Chandru's win. So obviously, it goes without saying this is the first player of South Asian origin to win a title. So this is, obviously a lot of Schmoedown fans of that kind of descent. So yeah, he's absolutely setting a precedent there. So it was lovely to see. And Winston's kind of announcement of, "You done it, Chandru, you done it." I was like, yes, come on, man. He's had a lot of the community on his back. Obviously Smets is a huge fan favorite. So I was very, very happy for the guy. People don't like his tactics or strategies or personality. He's come through all of that and earned the right to, and shown what a top player he is, and earned the right for that title. So I was absolutely thrilled for him, to be honest, because I particularly like the kind of different players, the people that kind of go through maybe criticism to achieve their end goal. So I do appreciate that, because they have to go through quite a bit, or quite different forms of criticism to get the end goal, to get the belt, or to get wherever they want to be. And just on the back of what you're saying about Mark, I definitely agree. I'm so glad he took control of round 4 and was kind of explained, okay, this is how it's going to work. We're going to have a practice run. It's going to start here. The clock will start here. So it's like, okay, ironed out all the issues. Don't let Christian do it all, because he's juggling so much. Someone else can take care of it. So I'm really glad they took control of that going into the titles match with the teams and with the singles title on the line next week. So I'm so glad that's sorted now, and now we can move on with less of an impact on the kind of the announcers having an impact on the match.
And that just sets the stage for it. Bogz, I don't know how we're going to pick the spectacular. I think you and I probably need more time to make our picks than everyone needs to study, because we're the biggest Chance and Chandru heads on the entire internet. So we're going to need some time, because that matchup is a dream come true. And another dream that has come true is that we are so excited today to welcome a very, very special guest. Finally making his debut on the Ultimate Schmoedown show on the Outlaw Nation is the Outlaw himself, John the Outlaw Rocha.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Or good day, everybody. I don't know when this is going up, so good day, everybody. How's it going? And I'm excited to be on. Thanks for having me on, guys. I know I executive produced the show, but I don't like to put myself on the show, and so when you guys asked me to come on, I was like, hell yeah, let's have some fun and talking about things that are going on in the world of the Schmoedown. How are y'all doing?
Last night, it was going great, and we'll probably just get your immediate reaction to last night. How did you enjoy the event?
It was nice to not be participating, so it was nice to be able to sit back and relax and watch these matches. And I said it on SEN Live when I was hosting yesterday. I said this tag team match is a really critical time for both of these teams. Who is going to step up and who is not going to be able to step up when they're called upon in the moment. And it's pretty clear Final Exam is a team to take very seriously. And someone needs to wake Lon up about the first round, how many questions there are in the first round. But other than that, I thought they played a seamless match, a very seamless match. And also, I really think they played a smart match. I think they understood the rules. And Paul Oyama looks reinvigorated, which should scare everybody in the Schmoedown. A focused, relaxed Paul Oyama, who has clearly used the time to study up and get even smarter about films, even more knowledgeable about the trivia, should scare everybody in the Schmoedown. So I was excited because I'm a big fan of Paul. I like what he's done, League. I enjoyed playing him. It was my honor to get that victory because I knew it wasn't going to be easy. So to see the joy he has playing with Lon is an exciting thing. And on the other side, seeing the pride, Ben and Rachel, I think there's still, they're a young team, and I think there's still things to work out. I think there are some issues, some gaps in knowledge that are pretty severe. How do you not know Jimmy Stewart's and Harvey? That was a massive shock to me. Rachel missing a couple of the ones that she missed. So those are those things that kind of will come back to haunt you. And they're the difference between being a team that can actually contend for a tag team title and a team that's a good tag team. There's a difference, right? It's minute. It's minuscule sometimes, but it is the difference. And you saw it play out in the match, and you can say, although they spun the category that's good, that's the game. That's the game, and I get using that argument because I've used it against Kalinowski to get under his skin. But in the game, that's how it goes. Last week, Ethan spun spinner choice. You have to roll with it and see if you can hang with what happens in the course of the game. And unfortunately, the Pride couldn't do it, but they'll be back. And we'll see how Rachel takes this. We'll see how Ben takes this and how they come back. And then the final, that 5-round final, that was a very tough watch for me because Kevin and I have grown closer over the last few months. And kind of as he sought advice about the Schmoedown, sought advice about being a champion, and I've kind of picked his brain about how he approaches the game. We've had really great conversations as fellow champions about things, and watching him kind of struggle a little bit through that match. I have been in that exact situation before against Ethan for the belt when I was defending the belt. Everything he was doing, it was almost a mirror image of what I went through in the Ethan match, where you question yourself, where you shouldn't take a category, yet you do, thinking you can survive, and then the frustration and the comments, and then being upset that the other person is getting under your skin. In my case, it was Jay Washington doing his histrionics off screen that was really messing with me during that match with Ethan. So those are those things you kind of have to learn to navigate and overcome and ignore. And unfortunately, in the end, Smets, came out the other end. But all credit to Chandru, and really all credit to Winston for managing both of these situations and getting some incredible points and taking first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of have a question going off of that. Obviously, Finstock Exchange has been sitting as like the #1 faction, and well-deserved. Let's be clear about that. Sure. But one of the things that's been interesting about these digital matches is we've been able to see a lot of the other managers and actually hear them talk through things, see a little bit more of their hands-on experience. So what was it like as someone who has been riding with Dagnino for a while now, seeing other managerial styles, maybe how they differ from Dagnino, maybe some things that you think Dagnino still does better than any of them? What were you thinking about that?
That's none of your business, goddamn. No, I was, to be honest with you, I was... I certainly talked to Winston afterwards, obviously, because we do game time together, so we're friends and stuff. And I congratulated him, and I also said, like, I know I scoffed a little bit your managerial style with Ace, and I kind of gave you a little bit of crap about that earlier in the year, and I have to say I was wrong. You know exactly how to manage your team or woman manage your team, depending on the gender of the competitor, and you've done incredible with that, and you know exactly what they need in certain moments. You know exactly what they need to hear. You know how to take the attention away from them and how to help them remember to have fun and relax and play. And, that's not Finstock style. Finstock style is very much like, hey, at least with certain players, hey, you're a champ. Let's get this done. We know we studied this. We got to get it, blah, blah, blah. Because, in the Finstock Exchange, it's just different. There's such an expectation and a pressure to perform and to achieve, and we just demand a lot of ourselves because we want to be the best faction, and the faction other factions look at and go, and aspire to be. We want to be the Patriots, in essence, the New England Patriots, not that tag team, the New England Patriots of the Schmoedown. That's what we want to be. And so, I couldn't get the job done against Ethan, but hey, I went 3 or 4 rounds in sudden death. I was doing everything I could to get those points. And we'll see coming up how the tournament plays out for us in the singles tournament, and how other situations, the tag team match with us in Corruption. We'll see how that plays out. So there's still a lot of points on the board to be gotten by us if things work out in a certain way. Tom's style is Tom's style. And so all of us, I think, have to have our own internal discussions with ourselves about whether that's the right style for us going forward to achieve what we want to achieve in the league next year. And then Tom also has to have his own discussions where he looks at all the players and goes, well, which players do I feel my style works best with, and bring them to the Finstock Exchange.
For sure. And I will just say, just to make it clear, I might be biased, but I like you and the Finstock Exchange more than either version of the Patriots that we were talking about, either the football team or the Schmoedown team. So let's just also
So let's get into last week.
Okay.
So I think last week was, it was interesting for us because, we are on the nation. So we took it a little we took it a little to heart, and we were all riding the wave, and we were with you. We just leading up, the pregame, everything. We have our sources. We knew you were training your ass off.
Yeah.
We knew that you had taken a new level of focus.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to talk about, just anything you want to, that mindset, is that a new mindset, or is that an accumulation of everything you've done to get to this point?
Well, listen, where I'm at right now as a competitor is that I got to take care of me. Everything else is outside noise, right? And the focus, when I'm in that ring, it's just me. So even if I have a manager, in my mind, it's just me. And I've got to prepare myself better to be able to compete at the level that I demand of myself, right? And no one's a harder critic or a harsher critic of my gameplay or my knowledge than I am. No one. Not the after shows, not you guys, not anybody. No one is a bigger critic than I am. So I wanted to show Ethan and the world of the Schmoedown that I could go toe-to-toe with him, and that I could beat him. And so my approach to it was different than my approach to it when I was the champion and he took the belt from me, and in that triple threat match. In the triple threat match, I was waffling about whether I was even going to stay in the league. So I did little to no studying. In the match against him with the belt, I was so caught up in being the champion that I got lost in the idea of having to defend it and the pressure of all of that. And my girlfriend and I were still kind of new, so I was really trying to focus on that and figure out time balance. All that said, all those are legitimate victories for him. No excuses in that way, just what was going on with me. So for this one, I knew I had to call in people who maybe had nothing to do with the Schmoedown, and then people who were really knowledgeable about trivia, to constantly challenge myself and question myself and push myself to learn and study more. And so almost every night, and this is no lie, almost every night I finish my day of shows, and then I go right to the couch. My girlfriend comes home from work. We hang out, watch a show or two, and then she goes to bed at like 9 o'clock, and then I'm studying until midnight before I go to bed. That's never been our pattern. I usually go to bed with my girl or an hour after my girl, but this is the focus I had. So all the categories that I was kind of shaky in, or I have been shaky in, I studied and started to get stronger and started to get more knowledgeable. I picked 2 slices on the wheel that I've never picked before, and just dedicated myself to studying the ins and outs and the little nuggets of knowledge in those categories. So if I spun them or he spun them, I'd have the advantage in that situation. So these are the approaches that I took. I looked onto or asked former champions to help me as well. So I was getting quizzed at one point, and my Outlaw Nation on my Patreon. So we were setting up 2-hour study sessions 2 or 3 times a week, aside from the Hangouts. So it was a combo of that. So in essence, almost every week I was spending anywhere from 20 to 30 hours studying movie trivia, just studying. And I've never, ever done it to that level. My usual preparation has been in the past, just flip on the computer, lay it on my chest, and just take quizzes for 2 or 3 hours. And not have any real direction and not have any real focus, right? Just have a general broad overview of knowledge. So this time around, it was more about getting deeper into the knowledge of things, and it's a lot of information to download for sure.
Wow, insight into it. Let me ask a couple of questions, John, before we go any further. So, Colin wasn't joking there where we said we were all kind of backing your heart. In our production meeting, we're talking about your highlights, talking about Ethan's highlights, going through everything. So, always know that we have got you back.
Well, I appreciate that.
Don't forget it, man. Honestly, everything that you've kind of done in the game, don't ever forget that. And also, moving forward, obviously you've kind of also mentioned that, kind of about retiring and stuff, and obviously you've put that aside, but not in the middle of the season, John. You still got a tournament, still got a couple of weeks, you've got a potential singles tournament. Come on, man, we need you. We need you here. It's like Shea needs you as well, so don't kind of no retirement talk now. Wait for that for later. Yeah. But anyway, my question is, obviously you can comment on that as well, but my question is, in the kind of last couple of months, how many ethnic minorities have come through to the kind of top of their respective divisions? We're talking about Chance, talking about Ace, talking about Chandru, even Paul Oyama and yourself. Obviously, we've never seen that before, this amount at such a high level. So I just want your thoughts on that, being the kind of flag bearer for minorities in the Schmoedown.
Wow, look, first of all, that's a great question. And I absolutely love that, to be honest with you. And, and here's the thing, and I want this to be very, very clear. Christian has always sought to have an inclusive league, right? It just was at the time with the Schmoes, it was an almost all white situation. And so that was going to be the people involved at that time. But as the league has grown, more and more people have wanted to be a part of this. Me being Latino, wanting one of the first champions, wanting to be a part of it, one of the first characters, and then seeing other people come through. All these, and now we're at a really fantastic place. There's a lot of women involved in the league. There's a lot of people of color involved in the league. And this is the natural progression of things. And so for me, I'm incredibly excited, and I'm happy to see so many people from different walks of life, different ages, different ethnicities be involved and be competitive. Because here's the deal. We've had people come to the league who were female. We've had people come to the league who are people of color, but sometimes they didn't stick around because they didn't like the vibe of the competition, the seriousness with which people took this, and the character work, or it just wasn't for them, or they couldn't handle the amount of attention and pressure of it. And there's no judgment of that. Everyone has to make their own decision when they step into something, whether they want to stay with it for their own mental well-being or emotional well-being. And so I think what we've got now is there's no illusions about what this league is. So people walking into it, or people who want to get into it, know right off the bat what this is. And so to see that it's attracting so many people from different walks of life and different ethnicities, it makes me excited for the future of the league. And it makes me proud to be part of the league as well, to show a diversity that we've never had before at this level, but that we've been progressing towards every season. And so that excites me so much. And, Chandru has been obviously Chandru was fantastic coming in, set his sights on a goal and got the job done. Oyama has already been a champion and is working towards becoming a tag team champion, possibly singles champion again down the road a little bit later on. Chance mowing through the IG tournament in such a powerful way, reclaiming his status as someone with incredible potential. And now going into our match with the tag team match, I think Dan and I are excited. We couldn't be more excited to have this match going down, and then seeing what people do in the tournament. And look at that tournament. Look at the amount of people in that tournament, the amount of women, the amount of people of color in that tournament. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But yeah, I'm very happy. And you say standard bearer, and yeah, it's a weird thing. I like to speak about it. I don't like to take credit for it. What I like to make it a thing that people are aware of, but I don't like to take any credit for it unless I'm doing a promo or being playful about it. But overall, I'm just happy that this is happening, and it's a good example for other competitions, other organizations, other outlets, other sites to see that we're doing that here in the Schmoedown. So yeah, I love it. And yeah, that's what I can say.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and thank you so much for doing it. I know you don't want to take credit, but that's why we're here, to give you damn credit. One of the things I also wanted to ask you a little bit about is obviously we're nearing the end of this season, and we've seen, like you were saying, a lot of fantastic new people entering the league, particularly a really strong crop of rookies. That's kind of been a conversation that we've been having a lot. So I was kind of curious who you think have been some of the like standout new players. Like, for example, I know a lot of people, both you and other members of the Finstock Exchange and people outside of the Finstock Exchange have been talking about the Barbarian as like a brand new powerful force. So I was just kind of curious who you think are some of the standouts as far as new additions.
Well, certainly Barbarian, you mentioned that. Absolutely. I don't think the league's ready for what this man is going to do in this league. I just don't think people that we're not even as much as we've talked about it, we still haven't done justice to what this guy is going to do. This guy lives and breathes the league in a way that I haven't seen since I walked through the doors. And it's incredible to watch it happen. And by live and breathe, I don't mean like, I don't question the dedication to other players. I mean, like, he lives and breathes emotionally by the success or the failure of a match. It's incredible to watch Craig's emotional connection to these matches. When I lost to Ethan, did I lose? But anyway, he called me and he was like livid. He was I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to feel upset about it because I had to talk Craig down from how upset he was. Because literally, as soon as I finished my post match with Ellis and Harloff, I dumped out of StreamYard, and he was like 30 seconds later calling me. And he had been texting me through the post match, which I didn't even look at because I was just talking to Christian and Mark. And he calls me and he's like, "It was bullshit. It was totally legible. Christian didn't have his glasses on, and he didn't. So how could he have seen that? He had a squint." And, I'm on a 77-inch television. I'm telling you, you can read Pollock. That is absolutely, we should have challenged that, blah, blah, blah. He was that emotional about it. And I was like, yeah, dude, I was too frazzled to even think about challenging. And Tom should have challenged. Like, that's the thing that I mentioned on backstage. I feel like that's what the manager's supposed to do in that moment, is save their player. We had a challenge in our back pocket. Tom should have used it. But I think Tom was distracted with other things, unfortunately, and it just didn't work out 100%. And maybe he was as frazzled as I was because we went so much longer than people anticipated. But either way, Craig was the one. He was the first one, and he like listed all. He goes, "I'm gonna get on a phone call with the question writers, and I'm gonna have a comment." I'm like, "Dude, don't do that. Don't get it." He's like, "No, we need to know. We need to know what the deal is." And I'm like, "All right." You know what? You're a competitor. Do as you see fit, and I love that. I loved that fire, And Craig is one of the big people that stepped up to train me, and I got kind of emotional on the phone with him, apologizing to him that I couldn't get the job done. He was like, "Don't you fucking waste a second apologizing to me, man. I loved it. You got me ready, and I got you ready, and I loved it. And don't you think for a second that I wasted a second, doing trivia with you because." Because at one point, honestly, and this is a little bit of a segue, at one point, there were nights where I was answering questions from 3 separate people on text for 3 hours, constant questions, while answering questions on my patron hangout. So I was movie triviaing in 4 separate quadrants consistently to try to keep myself sharp about everything. So, but yeah, he's one of those guys. Definitely Goddard. Goddard's really come through and kind of announced himself as a rookie, and it's been fun to watch that because I kind of doubted the kid at the beginning of the year when all that stuff was going down in January and February, but to see how he stepped up, got to give him a lot of props, got to give him a lot of credit. What are some of the other rookies that have really stepped through and done well that you guys can name?
Parker.
Huh?
Parker.
Oh yeah, Parker, yes, and Parker, no. Parker with a lot of hype, but against Chance, he kind of got handled by Chance. So in that moment, you're just like, okay, great, you had 2 victories, but what now, right? And so I think he got a lot of fanfare from people hyping him up, but then got 2 or 3 quick victories, and then met the buzzsaw that was Chance. So now what does Parker do next? Does he play again the rest of the year? And if he doesn't, I don't think you can necessarily think of him as one of the best rookies of the year. Certainly came in and announced himself, but the consistency of victories is important to establishing yourself as a qualified rookie of the year. And I feel like Craig will run through this tournament and have a hell of a showing. And look, if things work out, he's going to play Bibiani in that second round possibly. And if he beats Bibbs, then I think we've got ourselves a superstar in the making. And the level of training he's been at right now, if there's a gap in knowledge, it's only because he hasn't gotten to it yet. It's just incredible the way he's training. So, yeah, those are some of the rookies that I've really enjoyed seeing.
John, talking about this singles tournament, what about Sabrina? Because as a rookie, we're all really dying to see her. We all really like her personality and how she comes across and how cool she is. Obviously, that's the ball's in your court there. So, so what's going on?
Well, not in my court anymore. It's really in Dan's court now with Dan and Ethan. So it's not really in my court. I unfortunately I failed at the finish line, but I don't know. We'll see what we got in Sabrina, to be honest with you, because we don't know what we have in her. She is, she has her patron. She has the meaning of. Certainly she knows a lot about films, but does she know a lot about classic films? Does she know a lot about older films? Does she know a lot about 60s films, 70s films? Does she know a lot about those films? That's important. The Movie Trivia Schmoedown isn't the Movie Trivia Schmoedown with movies from just the last 30 years. It's a Movie Trivia Schmoedown, as we saw in my match, all the way to Boris Karloff. So those are those things that will pop up and can swing a match if you're not prepared for them. Like we just saw with Ben Goddard not knowing Jimmy Stewart and Harvey. That's a really incredible thing to not have in your mind. And so those are those things that I really appreciate that the question writers are doing so well, is that they're covering the full breadth of movies. So, and I appreciate that madly, because that's the way it should be. Yes, should we concentrate on the last 30 years to kind of keep people watching because they're excited? Sure, but don't lose the sight of the classics and the great things that have been the foundation for why most of us are cinephiles anyway.
I've definitely been saying that we need more questions in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown about that first movie of just the train. We need some more questions about that. Yeah. What kind of train was it?
Right. How many people were in the theater that ran out? How many people stuck around just to see
if that train was going
next?
at 50 miles an hour and I was watching it on a bus that was going 20 miles per hour?
So, John, the digital landscape has been, it's been fascinating to watch the merge, because for a while the digital landscape, it kind of felt like the minor leagues. If you're doing this at home, it obviously wasn't taken. It was taken as seriously, but it wasn't probably given the respect that the main leagues were. And now you're seeing players like Paul, and Chance, who rose up in this league in this era, are really taking advantage of it. And as somebody now who's played a full match, what advice would you give your partner Dan Merle going into his first digital match?
I think you've got to be clear to make your environment as relaxed as possible around you. You've got to focus on listening to the question even more. And absolutely a whiteboard. What a colossal mistake on my end on that. Maybe if I have a full whiteboard, Sidney Pollack is a little easier to write than the corner of a white piece of paper. So I have a whiteboard that I'll be getting before that match. I think a whiteboard is more, but Dan has one because we've done simulated matches in preparation for Ethan. We did some simulated matches that we set up here behind the scenes. So I think Dan got a good idea of what a virtual thing can be like. We even have a virtual wheel that we spin. So we simulate the matches really well. And so that's what I would say more than anything else. Make sure your environment is as relaxed around you as possible. Make sure you have your water next to you. Make sure you have the whiteboard. Make sure you have space, and make sure you have good headphones to listen to the question and take your time. You have more time than you actually think you do, and not think about how many people are watching you virtually to see how you're reacting to things. And for me, what I did with the Ethan and Sam match, I had music queued up on my iTunes with my headphones because no one else can hear my music. So when they started doing their promos or whatever, I just clicked the music and I looked to my. So if you catch me, I'll just be like this, or I'm just staring at the thing because I can't hear a word they're saying. I'm just listening to my music. And I was listening to some Liverpool stuff just over and over again in my brain, so I didn't have to listen to them say whatever chatter they were saying. It was only during the course of the game. So if there's a way to play some meditative music or calming music or like chill music that can play in your ears throughout the match, and you can still hear the question. So I think that's an advantage as well, because you can just kind of like keep your mind or keep your body level at a certain stage. And there is music like with binaural beats that kind of keep you in a certain aware state of your mind. And I also think eating healthy the few days before you do the match will keep your mind sharp, keep your mind open. That's really important as well.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I guess I should ask this now. If I eat 2 Hot Pockets a week, is that too many to be a good Schmoedown competitor?
Depends on if you eat them early in the week or later in the week. It depends. But yeah, you have to portion it out as you see fit.
Gotcha. That's good.
How old are you?
All right.
Hot Pockets. How old are you?
Hey.
Hot Pocket's a Hot Pocket, all right? Sometimes you only have 2 minutes, and you got to do that.
What do they call Hot Pocket dogs in the UK?
To be honest, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a sausage roll. It's like a sausage roll in the UK. That's what a Hot Pocket is.
Yeah.
I think it's a sausage royale with cheese.
Yeah, fine.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Nailed it. So leading into your next match, I think is honestly the team's matchup of the last 12 months. I can't think of a bigger match in terms of like what has been hyped, just in terms of the position the players have put themselves in to be worthy of the hype. Yeah, I think this is the peak of that, because Chance and Mike have clearly been playing their asses off all summer long, and that's another thing, they've been playing. Yeah. So I think that's another thing. Like, they've been getting their licks in. They've been, I think it combined, it's probably almost 6 matches now from them. And you guys, it's 1. Yeah. So that looking forward, does that experience from them, is that something you guys are thinking about? How are you counteracting that? What are you guys looking at going forward?
Look, the advantage is all in their corner. We're the underdogs in this situation because these guys, like you said, have been playing multiple virtual matches. They get the rhythm of the games now. Dan hasn't played 1 virtual match. Dan hasn't played a match in months since he won the title. I don't think Dan has played a match. So that's a long, long time to be sitting on the sidelines and kind of like getting not getting the reps in practice. So we're definitely at a disadvantage. They have been mowing through competition through that IG tournament. So everyone is back in love with corruption. Everyone is back in love with Chance and Kalinowski and what they can do. But these aren't just IG questions. So we are going to have, there's only one slice that they can put on the wheel that's IG related. And Dan's been studying IG, so that kind of nullifies that advantage that they might have coming into the match. So what slices will they put on there? We don't know. We can only focus on our game and try to guess what they might put on there and try to be as well-rounded in all the categories as we possibly can be before the match starts. So, but we have the disadvantage. As you said, we haven't played as a team in a while. I've only done 1 virtual match. And as we saw yesterday, those tag matches can be quite wonky. Like, where did Lon go for 20 minutes? Like, how is that okay? Because I certainly couldn't disappear for 20 minutes during my match with Ethan. Where did Chandru go for 8 minutes during that match against Kevin? Those kinds of things. I'm like, wow, I didn't even factor in that you could take a bathroom break. I didn't think you could take a bathroom break in the middle of a match. Didn't think that was allowed. If you take a bathroom break, you could be studying those extra few minutes while you're in the bathroom. I don't know. So those kinds of things we have to factor into this situation. And but yeah, they have all the advantage. They're hungrier. Not hungrier. How can I say? They're hungry for the belt. They're hungry to get them back. They want to prove that our beating them was a fluke, even though we went toe to toe with them in that first match and could have totally had them if not for a questionable decision. And then also, but then they beat us straight up in the second match, and then we beat them straight up in the third match. So this is that kind of thing. But we defended our belts against Shazam. So this is not a situation where we need to prove ourselves to corruption. No, this is come on, boys. Let's get into the junkyard, close the barbed wire gate. Let's get into the pit and let's see who climbs out of this damn thing. And that's how we're approaching it, like a couple of junkyard dogs. You think you have the advantage? Come on in. We're the underdogs. We'll see what happens. So the way I look at belts now is the belts are sitting in the middle of the ring. The belts are not sitting on our side of the ring, and the belts are sitting in the middle of the ring. So we're fighting to win our belts just as much as you're fighting to win our belts as well. So that's the way I look at it now when I approach these matches. And I think Dan is excited, and he's been itching to get back in the ring. And so we're going to see how this all plays out for sure. But we do need to clarify if the needs to be part of an answer or not, because that shit's got to get clarified real fucking quick. Because I tell you, if that comes up in our match, we're going to set the damn thing on fire. I don't care what the time restraints are. I don't care what that we got to get out of here by a certain time. You're not messing up our titles because you got to end the show at a certain time. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not allowing any of that to happen. Either Dan or I are going to allow that to happen. So that's the thing we need to clarify very, very soon. All right.
Yeah, and I think that's it 100%, because I think we're getting to the point where this game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The scope, the lens on this game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger week by week. I mean, we're coming up on the biggest event in Schmoedown history with Jericho and Kevin Smith. And that is going to put more eyes on this. And if that's the kind of things, if we're as nerdy as we are about these movies, we can be nerdy about the word "the."
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Because if it gets to the point where it's like we're on Jeopardy. I said this earlier in the show. It's like if you're on Jeopardy and you get the answer wrong, you got the answer wrong. You don't argue So it's like it's one letter. One word is one word, makes it wrong. And if the other guy gave the right answer, he gave the right answer. So it's easier in that situation. But yes, clarifying the and clarifying those wordy things have to get done.
Well, because
So
there's Did I agree with the challenge?
Yeah.
I agreed with the challenge as a way to mess with Smets. Yes, just like my challenge, the 1960s or 60s thing, that was just to mess with Ethan and tried to get a little bit under his skin, and I did. So that was and now in retrospect, it's so amazing to see how many people who made fun of that challenge now have come around in the last week and be like, actually, it was a damn good challenge. Yeah, suck it. Play the match. Maybe you can analyze it if you actually play a match. The second thing is this. I thought when Mark made the decision, that's it. So what needs to be clarified here is if you make a challenge, then I think Mark and Christian have to listen to the arguments on both sides before they put up that challenge card and then make the decision. And when they come back, whatever they decide, even if we bitch about it, and I bitched about that 60s decision, we move on. And I think what happened yesterday cannot happen again. The decision has to be made. That's that. And we move on. And the match goes forward. And you can complain all you want afterwards or complain in that moment about it, but then you accept it and move on. So I think that's what needs to happen there. I thought it was a good challenge. It is called Surrogates, so I would have taken a chance on that challenge as well. There is no movie called The Surrogates, so they could have let it slide. And that's where, once again, right? He said 60s. Mark goes, I assume you mean 1960s. Kevin says surrogates, I assume you mean, or the surrogates, I assume you mean surrogates. So when are the assumptions supposed to be occurring where you get credit for the question and answering it correctly? These are the nuances of the game that really need to be clarified, and I hope we get to do that once and for all, so the players who spend hours upon hours studying and all this time don't feel like they're getting screwed over by a happenstance decision or a spur of the moment thing or the pressure of us having to end the match by a certain time. That can't happen.
And I think an interesting point to also make is that the moment in the IG tournament final where Psylocke was the answer and he clearly spelled it wrong, said it correctly, but there was a complete difference in the way that they spelled it. And it kind of almost seemed like it was the mood of the day that it was all, it was all a woozy. It was, it was all up in the air anyway. So they didn't really care. And they cared, but it wasn't like, oh, whatever. Mm-hmm. If we're going to play, we got to play. Yeah. And I think like that's going to be something that's going to be scrutinized on. And, it's ironing out all the wrinkles in the game because, we keep getting bigger. And eventually that's going to cost somebody a belt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If it hasn't already.
If it hasn't already.
Cool. And my last question, John, sorry, just before you go, I think we're going to let you go soon. Just quickly, what about Star Wars? What's happening with that? Are you still looking at that? Or
which what?
Star Wars division.
Yeah, next year. I mean, why do you think I'm starting Jedi? Why do you think I'm starting Jedi Way? I mean, that Jedi Way is my way of, kind of getting. And Laura knows way more about Star Wars than I do in terms of the nuances and the ship numbers and all that kind of stuff. But this is my way of kind of scratching that itch a little bit, working out that muscle a little bit, so I can be ready for next year. And certainly, I want to do it. But if they start throwing Mandalorian and Clone Wars, all that, that's going to take a lot of time. So we'll see what that situation is going to be like. But yeah, I'm excited to take a shot at it next year and see what I can do. But the show starts next week. Just a little promo of Jedi Way, our first episode. We just finished clarifying what we're going to talk about. So I'm excited for that to debut on the Outlaw Nation channel next week. Laura Kelly and I getting it done there on Star Wars. So we'll see. Yeah, definitely next year, though. I'm thinking about it.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it. We're just going to wrap up right now. I think this has been awesome. John, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And, thank you for, putting us on.
Please. You guys have been incredible. It's been a joy of mine to see you guys flourish in this. And of course, Mina joining as well. It's been fantastic. And what I set out to do, which is an international show with multicultural and diverse perspectives. So I love it. So you guys, I'm very proud of what you guys have done. Very proud of what Mike Shea and Sean Barriteau have done working on this show as well. So thank you guys. This is a fantastic show.
Well, thanks. Well, guys, we're going to keep it coming too. We're going live every single Friday before these pay-per-views. We are going live. We want to be the official pregame show. So find us everywhere at TUSS Pod. Find us on YouTube at the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. John, you plugged away, but please, if you want to plug anything else, please.
Just real quick, because I know John's got to go. You can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Go to my YouTube, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. That's all the Outlaw Nation stuff. Just go there and see what we got going on. There we go.
Mr. Barr?
Yeah, apologies. I do have to run to work. I just got hired by Beverly Cinema. Apparently, there's some delinquent trying to break in, so I'm new security over there. But yeah, no, sincerely, John, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. And if any of you out there want to listen to me talk for whatever reason, you can always find me at John Barr Tweets on Twitter and Instagram.
And Bogz, where you at?
Well, I've got nothing to plug. I just want to say, John, quick shout out to you, man. Honestly, being from the UK.
Oh, you mean Roke?
You go to wait. No, honestly, Roke, like being from the UK, being an ethnic minority, you were my way into the Schmoedown. I thought, okay, who's this Latino guy? I was more interested in you, Jedi Council. And then from there, I've got into the Schmoedown. So you and kind of the top 10 and your title runs and everything. So I just want to personally say thank you to you.
Thank you,
man. Man, and thanks for the opportunity and stuff. So, tune into everything in the Outlaw Nation. And all that. So,
respect, man. Thank you so much.
Well, guys, that'll do it. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. We will be back live next Friday on the YouTube channel. Or actually, we'll be back before then. We will be back Thursday because we have 4 singles matches this week. The tournament is starting. My mind's all over the place. We'll be back with 3 episodes next week. 1 coming out on Thursday, a live episode Friday, and then a recap of the pay-per-view coming out on Saturday. So we got some work to do this week. So that'll do it for us, and we'll see you next time.